Welcome back, everybody, once again to this week's My Weekly Rage Fix. This week's Parshas Omer, the Torah actually gives us the command to count the 7 weeks, the 49 days leading up to the day of Shabbos. Last year we spoke about this idea, and last year we discussed what is the idea of counting up to something. If we're counting up to Shavuos, the culmination of the 49 days, usually when you get excited about something, usually you count down as opposed to counting up. What's the idea of counting down, counting up as opposed to counting down? So we explained last year that each and every single day counts, and while we can't wait for that day to come, in essence we really can wait for that day because today is also special. But there's another idea that I want to share with you, and the truth is that we count up specifically for another purpose. The days of Shavuos the days of the Omer are sandwiched between the holiday of Pesach, and it culminates, like we said earlier, with the holiday of Shavuos, in which we celebrate the giving of the Torah. That means any ending in Judaism, we've spoken before in the past, is really based off the beginning. There was 2 beginnings. One, the Exodus, the Jewish people leaving Egypt, and B, it's actually the counting from after the Omer, the barley offering was given to the Jewish people. The barley offering was a symbol of produce, was a symbol of food, which was a symbol of Hashem's special protection over us. And really that's why we're counting up, because we're not counting up until Shavuos, rather we're counting the days of the past. Today is 1 day after the Omer, and 1 day after the Jews going out of Egypt. Today is 2 days, today is 3 days, and again to compound in our minds the idea that how we end up at the end is so important based on the beginning. Our beginning is what really defines us in the end. And when we always keep in mind the gratitude that we have for Hashem and that He took us out of Egypt, and if we always keep in mind the gratitude that we have towards Hashem for all the food that He gave us, it's only that food and it's only that freedom that it actually allows us to even get to a Shavuos. It allows us to get to a receiving of the Torah, that Hashem should give it to us. So Pesach represents that. Passover represents the fact that we went out, and the counting of the Omer, 1, 2, 3, 4, as opposed to 49, 48, 47, always reminds us what we're counting from, and our beginnings are very important. Just a quick word on Lag BaOmer. The 33rd day on the Omer has become a holiday. It's actually not mentioned at all in the Talmud, but it represents the holy sage Rav Shimon bar Yochai, who is the author of the Zohar, who brought down Kabbalah to this world, and it is considered a light, hence the name Zohar. Zohar in Hebrew is a shining light, and is a day that is celebrated. A lot of people go up to his tomb and they pray by him, but what it stands for is that his entire life and his living was a light, and he shared that light with us. And there's different things that are done this day as well, but basically this is a day that 2 things are commemorated. That he brought down this light, this Kabbalah to us. Of course, it's not something that I understand, therefore I don't study it, but nevertheless, our great Torah sages have this wisdom and they share it with us. But 2, the famed Rebbe Akiva had 24,000 students who had perished, and on that day they stopped dying, and therefore we celebrate that. The question is, why are we celebrating that they stopped dying? There was just no more students left to die, so of course they stopped dying. If there were some students left, so we can understand why we celebrate that day. The rest of them did not die because that stopped. But if they all died already, what are we celebrating? So one of the answers is that the 24,000 people that did pass away was because of an edict, a decree that was back at the beginning. And again, like we mentioned before, that it's the endings and the beginnings that count. It's not just the ending, but rather the beginning. So it was something that was wrong that was done at the beginning, and therefore that when they actually stopped dying, so it was as if that time, that decree had therefore passed, and therefore it was time to restart and start a new beginning. And that's what's being celebrated, a new beginning. And every single day could be really viewed as a new beginning. So let's take these lessons and make each day count, but let's also remember that every beginning is important, and that we're counting up to Shavuos because we left Egypt and because we started getting fed by Hashem through the Omer, which symbolized the food that Hashem gives us on a daily basis. Have a great Shabbos. Talk to you next week.